Hello everyone, welcome back to our channel. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I greet you all according to your time and locations. Thank you so much for tuning in. Yes, my dear viewers, I am back again with another update. So guys, I have a video here I would like we all to watch. But before then, if you're meeting my channel for the very first time, you're highly welcome. Please kindly do all to like, share, and subscribe. Leave your thought about this video in the comment section. Let us know what you think about this video, and I will see you towards the end.
And bring up my ideology of the party, for example. All these individuals who are doing romance with the APC and the government, what they are doing today is antithetical to what they stood for.
I think it's interesting that you talk about ideology because you used to belong to this same party.
Correct.
But you now castigate and
Right.
question what ideologies would drive anyone to want to work with them. Well, let us not talk about it.
No. You are free to talk about it.
We had talked about this in the past.
Oh,
But here's
I
something
see.
else, because you had stated your position on why you left the party at the time. But let's not dwell on
And
that.
do I
It's
still
not
hold
about
that
you.
view? Yes.
It is not about you. You talked about when we spoke almost a year ago, just before the elections, you said that the PDP, Atiku, can win this election without the G5, and that the Labour Party would stand no chance. And here you say that with the state of the PDP now, and reconciliatory moves not looking like yielding anything, that there is an unlikelihood that the PDP could win this election if it goes to a rerun.
That they will place us in a weakened, not unlikelihood, in a weakened position.
But your concern is that you would be weak going into a rerun because of the state of the party right now.
My concern is that when that time comes, because some of them are governors, some of them are former governors who have influence over the governors, and elections are won at the local unit in various states. If they tax their people to work against our party, it will reduce the extent of the victory that we can get. But as per whether they affected that election that was conducted, they never did. We won the election.
You think it did not affect the election?
It affected our victory in the sense that it reduced the victory to a little over 2 million.
And you still say that if there's a rerun, you may not need them to win the rerun?
We don't need them.
Let me tell you.
And we don't need them.
Let me tell you what facts say based on the outcome of the results.
Right.
And it's clear that the PDP, the NNPP, and the Labour Party would have won that election if they came together against the APC because of the numbers. The APC won with 8 million votes. Cumulatively, the PDP, the NNPP, and the Labour Party had almost 14 million votes.
So this is my point. The APC did not win with 8 million votes. INEC allocated votes to the APC to the tune of 8 million. If you see,
but I think that's why we're in court.
But yes, but European Union, which is one of the international observers accredited by INEC, and by the way, that gave the federal government of Nigeria 38 million euros to prepare for the election. So they are a stakeholder, right? European Union did their own findings and came out with a result. And in their report, they said only 31% of the results were mathematically correct. I mean, I don't know which school in this country or in this world where you get 31% and they will say you've passed the exams. The last time I checked, the lowest you can get to say you passed, it has to be above 40. And that is passed. Some have got, when I was doing my New York bar, if you score less than 75%, you have still failed. There is nothing, you either win or fail. It's just like medical examination. Now, look at it this way. INEC allocated, evidence abound. Now, matters in court, I don't delve with it because I have a higher understanding and responsibility. But I'm just telling you that the European Union report says only 31% of the result in IREF were mathematically correct. And the federal government said that we don't believe in you and the rest. Meanwhile, it is the same European Union that they collected 38 million euros to conduct the election from. It is the same European Union that came and collaborated with the federal government in training and retraining of people towards the conduct of election. It is the same European Union that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu traveled to, that they made a story out of it, that he traveled to Europe to engage with everybody, he will meet with presidents, everything will go good, and the rest. How can you approbate and reprobate at the same time?
But have you seen the statements of the federal government? So while you say that the EU donated towards this election, the statement of the federal government spokesperson, special advisor, media and special duties, is quite questionable on how the EU arrived at this. Specifically, he said the EU deployed no fewer than 50 persons. I think it would be best if
I
I
read
out.
it.
I think for the benefit of the viewers, it would be nice if I read that. So the statement says that our earlier position that the technology-aided 2023 general elections were the most transparent and best organized elections since the return of civil rule in Nigeria has been validated by all non-partisan foreign and local observers, such as the African Union, ECOWAS, Commonwealth Observer Mission, and the Nigerian Bar Association. Now, their statement goes further to say that that was unlike the EU that deployed fewer than 50 observers. The NBA sent out over 1,000 observers spread across the entire country for the same election. And according to that statement, the NBA gave a more holistic and accurate assessment of the elections. Now, he says the NBA is reporting that 91.8% of Nigerians rated the conduct of the national and state elections as credible and satisfactory.
So this is the problem. NBA gave a percentage without giving the data of, that's one thing about data. Without giving the data how they arrive at 91%.
Now, the report says that the NBA was more holistic and accurate.
that's his statement.
But the report also said that the NBA deployed more election observers
but
than
what's the
EU.
data? They don't have the data. And remember, without sounding brash at the bar to which I belong, majority of individual members of the bar did not subscribe to the report issued by NBA. And I say that with every sense of responsibility. So it cannot be taken as the views of the entire members of the bar. Unless if the NBA can give facts and statistics to say, we ran a stats, we ran polling, where we arrive at that. Not polling, just everybody where the figure. And let me even tell you one funny part. And I think that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has to be wary of that and look at it. Because if there is anything that undermined President Buhari during his time, was the fact that they said people who speak for him did not have the facts, did not represent the realities of Nigeria. It is happening here. If you look at the European Union report, the EU report, you saw two of their spokespersons penciled out in that report as people that were peddling fake news. Substantiated in that report, not just they say it, they gave the date, what they said, how it was debunked by facts and figures. And so Tinubu cannot afford to run a government with individuals who want to tell him what they think he wants to hear and then give him falsehood, false information, and fake news. You may have applied fake news before the election, but now it's some serious stuff. This European Union that in a statement he's insulting them, his principal will go behind and beg them. Because the world exists, we coexist, right? You need help. Okay, I'll give you an example. IMF and World Bank, they promised $800 million to the government. Immediately, government announced subsidy removal in order to access the $800 million. Concomitant effect on the Nigerian people. Everybody is suffering because there was no clear-cut plan, well-designed plan. And that's because the proper thing to do, if not because of the influence of World Bank and IMF, would have been to constitute your government, have ministers, have officers. Then you ask for a report. They come out with clear-cut definition and an idea on how to implement, push the government resources, and then declare removal of subsidy. The impact will be there, but will not be very, very bad. I read Financial Times a few days ago, and Financial Times London said, with the way the federal government of Nigeria applied the removal of subsidy, before this policy will take shape, it will take about 8 to 9 months. So that means, realistically, the Nigerian people are going to be in this abject poverty and hardship, and, from now till the end of the year before it can take shape. I give you an example one by one, not just speaking for the optics. You remove fuel subsidy. What happens? Every fabrics of our life is impacted. It is not just transport, but for transport now, the increase in prices of transportation, you start from Okada to taxi to buses to aeroplane, everything, they falls under that. Now, the young man, the middle class man, salary has not increased. You are still talking with labor. You have not even agreed. What would have been the proper thing is you engage with these stakeholders, arrive, even if you disagree with labor, you come up with your proposal and say, okay, since you people are insisting 200,000 is the minimum, I think that it's 100, and we're implementing it. You release it.
But Mr. Boala, I think even your principal had agreed that he would take out fuel subsidy.
But he said that we are, it's in our manifesto, that we are going to engage with the stakeholders.
But the point I'm making is this, Mr. Boala. There was no budget for subsidy beyond June.
Right. So
what
what he would have
what
done.
were you expecting the Tinubu administration to do after June?
No, the answer is very simple. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, I believe he has people around him that know law. All he needed to do, because already President Buhari was in default, what he needed to do was to bring a proposal to the National Assembly.
For
the timeline.
Terminating.
Yes, the timeline, the removal.
In June, okay.
All he needed was to bring a proposal to the National Assembly for the amendment and extension by 6 months. I mean, it's not coming out of the moon. Now, within this period of 6 months, okay, we have come to the end of the month. There is a revenue that by now ought to have been generated as a result of the removal of fuel subsidy. How are you going to implement it? No minister is in government at the moment to implement government project to impact on the people. Are you going to apply the social intervention of yesteryears where they were giving peanut to people? So that's not the cushioning effect people are talking about.
I think we will come to more details about the Tinubu administration very soon. But I just want us to exhaust the conversation on the EU report, which is generating controversy. And it's just about the same question that I would ask a member of the Tinubu administration, which is, and I'll ask you this differently because the Tinubu, nobody from here, from Tinubu administration is here to defend. So when you say that the EU report should be taken holistically, do you ignore the African Union, ECOWAS, Commonwealth Observer, and the NBA reports that sort of credited the elections?
Good. I will take them one after the other. I've just dealt with the issue of the NBA. It does not represent the views of the average members of the bar. And for you to arrive at that, you have to run a polling. You cannot, at the national level, as the executive, write a report and say it represents the interests of the bar. That's one. Then, with respect to the African Union, ECOWAS, these are African bodies. Where have they been all this while insecurity is ravaging Africa? It is all this you rub my back, I rub my back type of policy. Understandably, Nigeria is a big ball player in Africa. So they will want to pander in the direction of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu in order to get that favor. When you have an internal assessment, usually people will say, if you want a fair and balanced view, you have to bring somebody from the outside. Do you know, I was in London, some Nigerians are even running a conversation that if this is how election petition is running, Nigeria had better start looking at how to amend our laws, both the Constitution and the Electoral Act, where the Supreme Court of Nigeria will be the trial court in presidential election, and appeal from that decision should go to England. So that there is no tribal person, there is no sentiment, there is no government influence.
England?
Yes.
So where does the sovereignty of the country come in?
That's wonderful, but we have mutual legal assistance with sovereign state. We share intelligence. We do that to Gambia and other countries.
It's already a concern that our courts get to decide election cases. It raises question about the credibility because this is not something we see in developed countries. So
it was interesting when they said it in London. I said, you are talking, but it seems to send some kind of. I think it requires further conversation on that. We used to have West African Court of Appeal in Ghana before we got independent, where all appeals in the West Africa go to Ghana. Now, but we have confidence in our judicial system, and we believe that the Supreme Court will remain sacred. They will do justice according to law, and nobody will impede on their sanctity and integrity.
I think it's interesting to hear you say that you do, because I was going to ask you what your thoughts are on the presidential elections petition court so far, because you have attended just about every sitting. So I think you've closed your case as well.
Yeah, we closed our case about 10 days ago. Then yesterday, interestingly, INEC was to open their defense, and you know, everybody had time. Like 3 weeks we were given. I think they had not less than by the time we were given. But, and they said initially that they were going to bring 3 witnesses. In the morning, the petition of Peter Obi and Lebo, the witnesses refused to show. They refused to show up. Whether they were singing Davido's song, I'm unavailable, I don't know. But later in the afternoon, in our own case, one person showed up. And after the case, they said, we don't have any other person to present. So that the more people you bring, there might be a problem for you. I don't want to delve on the details of that. So INEC has closed her case as far as our own was concerned yesterday. And presumably by this morning, if they are through with the Labour Party, they are most likely going to close that. So that means the next thing we are going now is either of the respondents, either President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, then Bola Ahmed Tinubu, or the All Progressives Congress will open it. We have our respects for the judicial system. I'm one of those individuals even when the judiciary was under attack during Buhari's government, one of the fewest persons that stood up and defended them. Because I believe that even if there are one or two bad eggs in the judicial system, you can't paint everybody like that. It's just like in journalism. There are bad journalists, but you don't destroy the journalism. There are bad lawyers, but you can't say all the lawyers are bad. And the only way you can strengthen the institution is by adding more confidence on that institution, by assisting the institution where it is necessary. So we are in the Code of Appeal, which is the trial code for the presidential, and so far so good. Whatever decision and whichever way it goes, all the parties will exhaust available options that they have, and then we see how we push democracy further.
You know, I had a conversation with the NNPP spokesperson, who's now a member of the Board of Trustees, Buba Galadima. You're very familiar with him.
It's my uncle.
He is, that's interesting information. So, Mr.
He's
Galadima...
actually on transit to APC.
He debunked that. I asked him that question.
But if you have followed...
We'll talk about that just a second. Mr. Galadima is of the opinion that, based on history, that there's been no upturn in the court's judgment with regard to a sitting president, and that's why the NNPP is not in court. So I asked him if he worries that the PDP and the Labour Party that are in court would get nothing from it, and he says yes. He also tied his submission to the recent statement from Senator Bukachua on his influence on his wife, who has since denied that. So it's interesting that you have confidence in the court.
Yes.
But is the PDP in court confidently believing that they may...
So guys, thank you so much for watching. What do you think about this video? Please kindly leave your thoughts in the comment section. I will see you again in my next one. Bye for now.